All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 1 o'clock. And I had a feeling that today's church service at my church was going to carry on a little while. So I'm glad I set it my original time to 1, which gave me enough time to get home, feed the boys, have a little snack of my own, and then be fully prepared to react for all of you. Midoriya, Michael, Psycho, good to see you all. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. As many of you know, there is no One Piece today because it's currently on break. But we do have MHA and Jujutsu Kaisen. So, got 2 reactions, and then I can get back and relax because it's been a very long morning. So, let's begin with chapter 398. We are so close to 400 chapters of My Hero. Chapter 398! Toshinori Yagi, Rising and Origin. Wow, remember when we had Katsuki Bakugo Origin? Remember when we had Izuku Midoriya Origin as well? Now we have All Might himself. Chapter 398, Toshinori Yagi, Rising and Origin. And it begins, it has a top image with, you know, All Might back in the day before he got the power of All for One. I mean, one for all, before he got the power of One for All. And he was talking to Nana Shimura saying, "Let me be your pupil." And this is when he was younger. Then we cut back to the present as it shows All Might and All for One still fighting, and his car Hercules firing a really big rocket towards All for One. But towards All Might, and it splits apart in many pieces. And these pieces launch towards All Might, where he shoves something into All for One, and it's like a syringe, and something goes into All for One's body. Super acid injection, Pinky. Yo, All Might is using all of his students' abilities from Class 1A. Literally every facet of All Might's suit. Every special move he's using is either based off of Mina, Mineta, Seto, literally Midoriya. Everybody. He's got Dark Shadow and Tokoyami. His whole suit has configurations that match all the abilities of all of his students. But he hits All for One with this syringe that literally injects acid into the body of All for One. Super acid injection. Pinky! Just after rewinding some damage, you're dissolving away now? All Might! I'm trash, right? So much for that theory. All Might is at his peak right now, and he doesn't even have a quirk. This man is going all in. But I worry about the outcome. And then we go back in time when All Might was speaking to Nana Shimura, who is, you know, kind of cutely using float to just float across the ground. She's not even walking. She's just casually floating across the ground while All Might in the past is speaking to her. Let me assist you.
Without a quirk? Ridiculous.
Please, I mean it.
Go defend a 3-meter radius with that rusty pipe of yours. Good luck.
My family was killed a while back.
Mine too, but I don't have the luxury to join your little quest for vengeance.
I just can't accept a world where those who take from others come out on top. And then those who have had everything stolen, their grief turns to hatred in an endless spiraling cycle.
Yeah? And what's your solution?
As Nana Shimura looks back at All Might, and her whole countenance just changes. I want to make the world a place where everyone can live with a smile. And for that, the world needs a symbol.
A symbol of what?
Of peace. And as Nana Shimura is talking to All Might, in the distance we see like destruction from apparently whoever was fighting in the distant town, as these big jagged spires are sticking out of the ground. If you guys have played Elden Ring, in Leyendell, the royal capital, there's a section where it has like these giant spears that are sticking out of the ground. There's like one of them's called like the Bolt of Grandsax or whatever. These spires kind of look just like these spears in Leyendell. Even with plenty of new buildings and visible restoration efforts, people have been living in fear for a while now. Their hearts and minds are shrouded in darkness. And then Nana looks at her hand, and she goes,
So you would put on a grand display of power?
Everyone's got a tough enough time with their own 3-foot radius. So yes, I would step up. A quirkless guy like me has no role otherwise. Wow. Wow! This man says, I will step up and be this man that would put on this grand display of power so that everyone can. I will be that guy, even though I'm quirkless. And then it shows a slightly destroyed sign for Tatooine Station. And then this whole station explodes. Are we in the present now? Because this looks like All Might. Because the whole building, the whole area, the sign, and all the destroyed buildings around the area just implode. And I think it's All Might. Who got tossed. There's a massive explosion, and All Might gets tossed from this explosion, and he starts flying into the distance. All for One is even closer to UA now, but he's veered off course. He's pursuing All Might instead. And it shows Sukauchi, who I can't tell if he's wiping his like a tear from his eye or whatever, but All Might is laying in a heap on a rooftop. The same rooftop. Midoriya asked All Might at the beginning of the series, "Can I become a hero even though I don't have a quirk?" This is the same rooftop. He got launched. No. He didn't. No. He's on the opposite roof of the same rooftop where Midoriya was talking to him. Sorry, I was kind of ignoring the chain link fence view in front of his eyes. But he's laying in a heap, and he's on the rooftop across from the one that this whole series began on. And we're getting a reading. I gotta zoom in the image here because it's kind of small. We're getting a reading of everything that's happened to All Might. Fractured ribs, full body contusions, respiratory malfunction. Wow, All Might is massively hurt. And then All Might is just thinking back while he's breathing heavily, back when Midoriya moved without thinking, and he ran to go help Bakugo when that slime monster had him. And then we have Stain, who was talking to All Might back then, going, "The man we know as All Might could not live his life any other way." And then one of the greatest characters. He gets back up despite the fact that his armor is crashing. His armor is breaking off of his body. And All for One, whose body is rewinding and also has been injected with acid, is floating in front of All Might, looking at him with bloodshot, crazed eyes. Is he even younger now? Maybe he's not aware of it. Better not probe or he might come to his senses. He had to use quirks to expel the pinky super acid from his body, but the strain is hurting him. Does taking damage speed up the rewinding process? And then All Might starts laughing. Sorry. He just starts laughing as All for One prepares to get bone spires or spurs come out of his shoulder, and he just starts laughing like crazy. But while All Might is laughing, we see every major image that All Might has had in the series. All the truly majorly significant ones They're just right behind All Might as he's just laughing. He's just laughing. Don't stop now, Hercules. Keep it coming. To be of service to others. What a joy! As All Might is just laughing. In the face of certain doom, he's laughing. Greatest character. I tip my hat to you, sir. This is one of the greatest characters in all of My Hero Academia. This man has no quirk, and he still behaves like he has one. I got hiccups, but I don't care. I'm hyped. This chapter is amazing. Has no quirk. Has a grievously wounded body. On top of, I got these hiccups. On top of him suffering all this damage fighting All for One, and this man still laughs. He still laughs as if he was still in his prime. To be of service to others. What a joy! Fight on. Together. You hear me? To victory! Thrusters, Uravity, and Ingenium, full throttle! As Hercules creates this whole ensemble on All Might that gives him thrusters, Dr. Octopus-looking tentacles, full-on gauntlets. This man is... He kind of reminds me of the way David looked when he put on that whole major anti-grav rig in Edge Runners. He is covered head to toe in more gear from Hercules. And then we see a vestige. We see a vestige. You know, the vestiges that we see when we look into we see inside the mindscape of users of One for All. And someone goes, he's fighting. And it shows, and now we finally see Midoriya and Shigaraki, and they're fighting, but we also see All for One and All Might, and he's still laughing. Midoriya goes, All Might, and All Might goes, Midoriya, kid. And he's just laughing, and that's the end of the chapter. Yo! Oh, this chapter was amazing. This chapter was amazing. Yeah, this chapter was great. All Might looking back on we see the history of All Might, where he approached Nana, talking about the world needs a symbol. I don't want to live in a world. I want to create a world where everyone can, let me go back here. I just can't accept a world where those who take from others come out on top. And then those who have had everything stolen, their grief turns into hatred in an endless spiraling cycle. Hold on. I was pressing buttons I shouldn't have. I want to make the world a place where everyone can live with a smile, and for that the world needs a symbol. A symbol of what? Of peace. Even with plenty of new buildings and visible restoration efforts, people have been living in fear for a while now. Their hearts and minds are shrouded in darkness. So you would put on a grand display of power? Everyone's got a tough enough time with their own 3-foot radius. So yes, I would step up. A quirkless guy like me has no role otherwise. This man says there's no other role I have in life than to do this. This man Horikoshi really says you're going to be feeling all the feelings every week and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You're welcome. He really... Okay. I gotta say this about this entire series. This entire series is written absolutely... And I'm going to say this for me. The entire series is written perfectly. It's written perfectly. The world building, the way everything meshes together, the way you get drawn in. It's written so well that I honestly can't believe if people think that there's anything wrong with this series and its writing. This series is amazing. You get drawn in from the very beginning, and then it holds on to you, and then you have moments that call back to why some of these characters are so legendary. All Might, who we saw in the beginning, the super powerful dude who was also suffering from a debilitation that he would never truly ever recover from. And yet he still put on a brave face to make sure that everyone saw the symbol of peace, and thus their minds were set at ease, even if it was slowly wearing him down over time. This man has had organs removed, irreplaceable damage done to his body, and even winds up giving his quirk to another individual that would just make him permanently weak. And even after all of this, he still moves, talks, and behaves as if he still had One for All inside him. As if he still had all that power inside of him. He still operates that way. Sure, there have been ups and downs, but that has not stopped him from being the symbol of peace even today. Even when his body was weakened and he went up against those villains, back then when this whole war really started, he literally intimidated some villains into not messing with them, even though he didn't have his super powerful muscular form anymore. His presence is so strong that he doesn't even need to be in his muscle form for everyone to still see him and as the big head honcho All Might that he's always been. And then we find out that he was once quirkless like Midoriya was, and everything that he's done has been not only to remain the symbol of peace, but also put smiles on people's faces, but also to usher in a new age of heroes through his students as well. And every step he's taken has been for the betterment of the future for everyone. Even if he's not the main person that we see in every single chapter, he's still working behind the scenes to make sure that there's a bright future for everyone to look forward to. So even after Night Eye says, like, if you continue on this path, you're gonna die a horrific death that you can't avoid. And despite all of that, this man kept going, despite knowing that there was a future where he could possibly die. A very likely future where he could possibly die. He still kept going with a smile on his face, always out to make sure everyone's good, and use his powers until there was no strength left in him. And even after losing that power, this whole war starting, Midoriya unlocking more and more powers beyond what All Might had, this man continued to be the mentor, the father figure, the big guy to look up to when you want to be inspired. And even after he resigns himself to fight All for One by himself alone, despite reservations from those who knew he was going to do it, he still went in with a full intention of not losing. This man literally says, I've never gone into a fight with the expectation to lose. And this man has shown that even someone as ridiculously powerful as All for One, whose body is regressing even further, especially after he had to use quirks in order to expel the acid from inside of his body. His body's progressing, is rewinding backwards faster now because of that. But he's also incredibly reckless and overly destructive. And despite All Might being caught up in these attacks by All for One, this man still gets up. Remember, it literally just said that this man suffered fractures, full body contusions, everything. Yeah, fractured ribs, full body contusions, respiratory malfunction. So this man not only has fractured bones and contusions all over his body, a full body contusion, but he also is having trouble breathing. And yet, despite the fact that he's having trouble breathing, he ends this chapter by laughing. He ends this chapter by laughing it all off, being that symbol of peace with a smile on his face. The smile has not left All Might at all. Just laughing as we see Midoriya fighting Shigaraki. Midoriya using One for All to its full extent, and Shigaraki just looking with licking his teeth, And then we have All for One, who's looking down on All Might, and All Might is still laughing while blood shoots out from his mouth. If this chapter doesn't show you just how much of an absolute unit, how much an absolute legend, how much of an absolute boss All Might is in this story, I don't know what to tell you. And All Might's efforts have actually borne fruit because now All for One is focusing on him. My rant is over, but this is fantastic chapter. This man Horikoshi, All Might is a straight up boss. Yep, All Might is a goat. So many death flags, but if this is the way he goes out, wow. This man laughing in the face of death, like Roger from One Piece. When I see All Might laughing, I think of Roger from One Piece. They both share that same type mentality, to a degree. Someone on Tumblr noted that All Might's speech to Nana has some serious similarities to the motivations the villains have, which is so interesting. Let's check that out a little bit. I want to make the world a place where everyone can live with a smile, and for that the world needs a symbol. Even with plenty of new buildings and visible restoration efforts, people have been living in fear for a while now. Their hearts and minds are shrouded in darkness. So going back to that, my family was killed a while back, mine too, but I don't have the luxury to join your little quest for vengeance. I just can't accept a world where those who take from others come out on top, and those who have had everything stolen, their grief turns to hatred in an endless spiraling cycle. Now, the difference between the villains who think this way is that they think that more violence will solve the problem. Whereas All Might sees like these things are spiraling out of control, but the only way this is going to stop is if there's a symbol for people to look to. The structure All Might is launched into is Tatooine Station, which is the same spot. Yeah, it is. It's the same place where Mount Lady and Kamui Woods were fighting that one villain with the gigantification quirk. It's the same place. The same place. We are literally going back to the beginning of the series in location. It's a polar opposite. Now, this reminds me of when Midoriya went on his vendetta as like a solo rogue hero, hunting down the people who knew where All for One's location was, and it's like the beginning of the series where it's like, oh, a villain, and it back in further into the future, Midoriya with like the scarf around his neck and all this power is going like, oh, a villain. It's like that, but now we are back at the beginning of the series with All Might literally landing on the rooftop across from the one where he has that heart-to-heart with Midoriya in the very first chapter. So many callbacks. Just want to hug and cherish All Might with all my life. Look, we need a My Hero Academia game so we can experience what it is to be this man. Not a fighting game, not a mobile game, a full-on either action RPG or Musou game where you get to wield the power of All Might and you just hear him laughing as he's beating up villains and criminals and stuff. We need that because this man is legendary. I know I'm throwing my two-piece in there because y'all know how much I like those types of games, but we need something like that to experience the power of one of the most awesome and well-written characters in this entire series. I read a really interesting theory. Someone theorized Stain is going to paralyze All for One. All for One will die in this fight by rewinding out of existence. All Might will speed up the rewinding process, but die. That's interesting. Because we really haven't seen Stain in a minute. It's been a hot minute since we last saw Stain. It's been a while. But we're not going on break. That's the beauty of this type of chapter is we're not going on break. And I'm looking at this one panel that says, you hear me, to victory. And the messages are going, he's fighting as there's this explosion that happens like in the distance. I'm trying to make out what this is exactly so that way I'm not losing track of it. But this was a beautiful chapter. This was a beautiful chapter. This was a beautiful chapter. There's nothing else I can say about it. There's this one panel of Stain hanging out on a rooftop or something nearby with what looks to be a glider. Yeah, I remember. I don't remember what chapter that's in, but I do remember Stain being up on some sort of rooftop, just watching things, watching all sorts of things going on. But we haven't seen him since that one chapter. My Hero Academia RPG game that goes to, from season 1 to the end of the series. Now, it would be kind of long. They would probably have to put in just the major events that happens in between then, but it can be done. It can be done. Tokyo Game Show, I'm looking at you to give us more anime Muso games. Come on, y'all disappointed me last year because all they showed was like Wolong and that Altair Alchemist game. You know, the girl with the thick thighs. They only showed that game. They showed Wolong, but we need more anime games like One Piece Pirate Warriors, where you can get that true experience where you can play characters like this. It's one thing to read these characters in a series. It's another thing to be able to, you know, play these characters in video games so you can live out that fantasy. Like, say you read a good chapter of All Might, it's all like, oh man, that's so good. Can't wait to play as All Might in this Muso game. And you start playing him, it's all like, wow, this is what it feels like to be the man in this chapter. You can see All For One about to deliver a fatal blow to All Might, and Stain comes in and paralyzes him. That's an interesting theory. We have until next week. Deku would have all his power. Yeah, you can have Midoriya where he starts out with All For One, or you could with One For All. Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna get those two mixed up so easily for the rest of the series until we reach the end. I feel like with Deku in a video game, it would be great if they had him when he was using his shoot style. Pretty much have his shoot style be the one you start out with, and then later down the line, you unlock where Midoriya is right now. Like all these powers, float, black whip, smoke screen, all these different moves. It would be cool if they made it something like that. Then you got Bakugo, All For One, Shigaraki, All Might, all these different heroes that have like widespread abilities and stuff like that. It would work out really well. I already worked it out in my head what would be cool to work out as far as, you know, playing this game is concerned, but only time will tell when someone actually gets the idea of like, we don't have a My Hero Academia Muso game where people can play all their favorite heroes or villains. We should probably make one. Because the last fresh Muso game we got was Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, and that's only on Switch. We need something for full consoles. But that'll be a conversation for another time. I'm sorry, I get so swept up when I'm talking about video games and anime video games I would like to see made. I get so swept up in it. I apologize. But overall, this was a 10 out of 10 chapter. This man laughing in the face of all-consuming power, and he's just laughing like the absolute boss that he is. Fantastic chapter, 10 out of 10, would recommend to literally everyone. But that's where I'm going to call it for this reaction, because we still got Jujutsu Kaisen, and then once I'm done with that, I can rest, because it's been a long morning. But I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your continued support of this channel. I love what I do here. I really do. Like, put it as a level system, so level 1 would be One For All, and then level 100 will be him with all his powers. Yes, you unlock more powers as you level up. Yes, I fully agree with that. That would be sick. I'm going to make a list. I'm going to see how it could work out in my head, because I would definitely love like a skill tree sort of thing, where as you level up, you unlock new combos that correspond with different powers and stuff. Like, it can happen. It can work. So, yeah. But all I can say to everyone right here, right now is thank you. Thank you for all that you do for me, this channel, both by viewing and watching me, and both financially as well, because really everything that I do on this channel would not be possible without all of you. It really wouldn't. I know it's very easy to get into the ideology of like, well, I'm just doing these videos and everything, but no, this channel would not be anywhere where it is now without all of you and your support. So thank you. You guys mean the world to me. So thank you. All I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, then please, if you haven't already, because it also helps the channel and it's completely free, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know, because the more the merrier. And because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. Like DBZ Kakarot? Yes. 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 So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples. Yeah, you came in at the last second, Halster. Don't worry, Jujutsu's about to start up in a couple of minutes.